Welcome to BGP. Today we are discussing the fire in California, or excuse me, the fires in California. We had one in the Pacific Palisades, we had one in Alta Dena, and we have additional fires like everywhere else. I can't even name all of the cities, but and for the most part, the Pacific Palisades and the Altadena fires are still going. They're not contained yet, but a lot of people lost homes. And I believe as of yesterday, we had, I think the number is now up to like 32 people that have passed away from the fire. And there's still like 12 people that are missing that they cannot locate. And a lot of people are not happy about that. A lot of people are complaining from out of state because they feel like this is what we get, we being California get, because we're a blue state and because, we're liberals and because we voted for Kamala and not for Trump. A lot of homes in in Altadena, were majority Black and brown owned that were gone and that had been there for generations. And it's a sad event, very sad event. So what were you thinking when you first heard about the fires?
When I very first heard it, because, usually they get them together pretty quickly, but when those winds were blowing and they were one house after another just going up in smoke and people didn't even have a chance to really get out quick. And even seeing those people that were stuck, that were coming down the hill, and the police were telling them at that point, get out of your car and run. And they had to actually take the bulldozers and move those cars so that the fire trucks could get up there. That was the scariest thing, just knowing that these houses are up there and they're on fire and the fire trucks can't get up there to assist, and getting it out. So it was pretty sad and scary. Yeah.
Yeah. Mona, what about you?
Yeah, it was very disheartening. I couldn't watch it.
Yeah.
Where I work, they have the TV behind me, so I could hear a little bit of it. But I find this very devastating for you to one day have a house and a car and all your worldly possessions, and the next day, nothing.
Yeah.
Really sad.
Yeah.
And the rainbow of emotions that, you have to go through. You're angry, you're scared, you're upset, you're lost, you're confused, you're shocked, So, yeah, it's still going. Thousands of people have been displaced, and it's a bad look.
And we already had a homeless situation, and now we have even a bigger homeless situation, because where are they going to house all these people? Even just to rebuild a burnt down house is like 4 or 5 years in some cases before they can get it back up. I had a customer that called and he was saying that he was in the Woolsey fire, just rebuilt his house. The house been up about maybe 2 years. Just got back in it. He lost it again. Total devastated. He said, just turn my water off. I'm not doing this no more. So, a lot of sad stories.
Where I worked, they auctioned cars on Friday, and I was so, happy. This African American young man came in and he purchased 2 cars cash to take back to Alta Dena to give them away to some people that had lost their car. He said he was born and raised in Alta Dena, and that's the least that he could do. So it's good to see that people are reaching out. And what's really kind of pissing me off about the whole situation is when people are saying, well, they're millionaires or they have money and they can rebuild. What's the price on pain?
Right.
What's the price on stability and safety, and what's the price on your memories?
Exactly.
And you being familiar,
right,
and comfortable.
Right.
What price is that? And a lot of these people that we think have more money than us, they have mortgages.
Right.
They have car notes. And guess what? Me and Nisha, I was laying up there and I was kind of depressed, and I had to call Nisha, and I was like, do these people have to actually pay for their mortgage and their car payment every month? And she was like, yeah. And I was like devastated because you never think about that side. And when I was like, they still got to pay. So how do you pay and rebuild? And then look, you can't go to work. You don't have no clothes.
Right.
You don't have a car to get there.
Yep.
And you're trying to rebuild, keep your sanity, and still have to pay. something that has been totally destroyed.
Some of them, their jobs are gone.
That's
their
what I'm
jobs
saying. You
burnt
can't
out
work.
too.
Yeah.
You can't work.
Can't get to work.
Yeah. The job is
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
can't
The
get there
car-
because you don't have no car.
Yeah.
You can't get there because you don't have no clothes.
Yeah.
Schools.
Yeah.
A lot of that was
yeah. Palisades High gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. I don't know what their plan is the recovery process is going to be, but it's going to be long. And then you started hearing all these other conspiracy theories that it was done purposely because of the smart city thing. So it's so much stuff going out there. At the end of the day, people lost a lot. There was this one lady said, I woke up and I didn't even have a toothbrush to brush my teeth.
Yeah.
Everything is gone. All I got is the clothes on my back. I also had a lady that called me. She, on her block, all the houses around her burnt up except hers.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I was glad that my house was saved. But then I think about it, when they start rebuilding, I'm going to be amongst, my little old house is going to be amongst all these brand new houses. So she tried to find some humor in it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So she said, I'm glad. She said, and we can't go back for a while, because there's something that happens with the soil when that much stuff burns up. So it's still a lot of people that do have homes that they can't go back to right away because their surroundings are gone.
Everything.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the floor is not level. You don't know
that
if you
too.
step in. You know, they're telling people that they are letting back in, wear a mask, wear some safety gear.
Right.
Yep.
Make sure you're careful on how you walking and stuff. You might go into a hole.
Yeah.
And can't get out. And take a lot of people with you, so just in case you come up missing, somebody knows.
God. Yeah, that you don't fell
Don't
down
go up
in
there
the
by
hole.
yourself.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And the building codes are different. So some of those houses that were right along PCH, right in front of the ocean, some of they can't rebuild there because the codes are different. They don't allow you to build like that. And there was a man, he says, I'm right in front of the ocean. Why couldn't they just scoop some water up and drop it on my house, you know? I know one of the things they couldn't go in the air was because Biden was here.
No.
At that time.
No. The main reason why they could not go up in that air is because of the wind.
Yeah.
The wind was, it was basically like a tornado, but with fire.
A hurricane. Right.
With fire.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I've been explaining to people, especially out of state and all that, because they was like, why didn't you just get the water out the ocean? Why did you do that?
No.
And I'm like, the planes weren't even available. The planes were not allowed to fly for the first 24 hours because of the wind. It was so windy that would have been dangerous for them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm like, so they're dealing with wind, they're dealing with fires, and the best they could do is try to come at it with water hoses, but you got the wind like going like this, and them embers just like just sparking. Everywhere they spark, there's something else that's on fire. It was nothing that they could do. Mm-hmm. Nothing, honestly. They couldn't. So...
And you can't use ocean water because it's bad for the environment. It's
that
bad
too.
for the soil.
Yep.
Nothing will grow there, you know. So, you can't use that. However, in 2014, let me pull it up. Somebody was given $2.7 billion to build an additional reservoir in California. They made mention of it again in 2018, but to date, those reservoirs or those dams have not been built. I think had they would have done what they were supposed to do with the money that they were allotted, then they could have received more water to help them combat the fires. I think that money should be allocated to the fire victims. What we have to understand, too, is that we've never had fire on top of fire on top of fire on top of fire.
Like that,
you know, and they said it was over 30 fires
Yeah.
in LA since January 7th. So here, there, everywhere, it's not enough. We've never had this type of catastrophe before, but that's why it's called Proposition 1. And they dedicated $2.7 billion for water storage projects for floods, ecosystem, water improvement, emergency response, and
for the
recreation
state of California.
For the state of California. And as of June 6th, my birthday, 2024, nothing has been done. So
that's crazy.
Somebody needs to be on their head about that.
Well, what about Karen Bass? Do you think she's being wrong? Like, so many people are jumping on her head right now. Do you think she holds some responsibility?
I don't. And I laughed at that too, because I know a lot of people was like, she's out the country. Why this fire is going? And I was like, she didn't know the fire was going to happen while she was out of town. I was like, and then two, people are blaming her for like other areas of Cali that's not even in her control. She's responsible for LA. She's not responsible for Malibu. She's not responsible for what happened in Alta Dena. She's not responsible for a lot of these areas where the fires took place. They have their own mayors. And so when I tell people that, they're like, no, she's the mayor of LA. I said, yes, she is. But she's not the mayor of those areas where the fire was. They have their own mayors in those particular areas. It's always been that way. And so when I tell people that and they try to argue me now, and I was like, you know, Google is your best friend if you want to look it up. Right. It's free. Go look it up so you can see. I was like, Los Angeles as a whole is big, but we have LA County. And within LA County, we have different cities that consist of LA County. And within that, you have other people that are responsible for different areas of the cities that are in LA County. I said, for example, Long Beach is considered LA County. I live in Long Beach. Long Beach has its own mayor. I was like, that's the same thing for that. So you can't put that blame on her as a whole for what happened. I'm like, y'all tripping. This is a DEI issue, a DEI, because that's, you know, the new thing, DEI blaming. And I'm like, no, that was not her fault. She had no idea that this was going to happen while she was out of town, you know, and when she came back, they was all in her face. And I'm like, this is crazy.
And she wasn't answering, so
which was a smart move.
It was a smart move.
It was a smart move.
You know, they wanted to present like she didn't care.
I think with this big of a catastrophe, they're gonna look for somebody to point the finger at.
Of course.
That's somebody's fault. And yes, we probably could have done better in the way that it was handled, but we ain't never dealt with those high winds like that and that much fire at a time. So the circumstances were just different. And I felt bad for her because she looked so sad because they were just all on her head. And yeah, like you said, people in other states don't understand that LA County is LA County. We do have our board of supervisors, but each city has its own mayor, you know, and they have their own plan for their, you know, their rescue area and everything. So
their zone. Yep. I didn't like that. And then my other thing too was they were saying, well, it's her fault that we don't have any water and this and that. And I'm like, no. And they were blaming the firefighters too. And I'm like, no, the water issue, that's Department of Water and Power. That's not your firefighters. They're not responsible for that. They weren't. The fact that the water only blew so much at one time, that makes sense to me. Firefighters are not equipped to throw out, to put out as many fires that they were hit at one time. They're not. Eventually, the water is going to give at some point because you have all of it pumping at the same time. I talked to a friend because he was explaining to me to make it make sense to me so that I could explain it to other people. And he was like, you have multiple people trying to hose at the same time, different areas as it was sitting there spreading quickly. So eventually, that water was going, you know, I was like, but it had nothing to do with her budget cuts. It had nothing to do with that. So I'm like, I wish people would research first and look into that first. Because even President Elon Musk, even he went to secretly go talk to a firefighter and record him and ask him. And he was like, so we ran out of water, right? And he's like, no, we didn't. It wasn't that we ran out of water. And he's explaining the same thing. Like he said, this is like what we would call the perfect storm. He was like, you had the wind, you had the spark, and it just happened to be in the neighborhood and it kept spreading. And as much as we was trying to attack it on foot, on ground as best we couldn't contain it. He was like, there's nothing. He said, we could have had all the water in the world and it still could have went the way that it went because of the way the winds was going.
Yeah, those were 40, 50 mile per hour winds.
70, 80
I'm
miles.
Where I was.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was like Final Destination trying to get to work every day.
Yeah.
Trash was flying, sandstorms. I said,
trash cans flying down.
Because my car was
coming off the top of trucks and stuff. I had to send a video into my job because I was an hour late because a semi truck capsized and it was on its side.
Wow.
The only lane available was the fast lane and the exit lane. So I'm I'm about to get a point. And so
Yeah.
my boss was like, you didn't have to shoot a video. Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah, so you can see, like,
proof, right?
this is
I
what's
wasn't
going
fooling
on out
around.
here.
This is what's going on. And,
Yeah.
you know, we
I'm
couldn't even
sorry.
get in the door. The winds were blowing so hard, you
Mhm.
know. And I think people don't understand how dangerous it is to be a firefighter. You know, those airdrops, like Nisha said, those are special flyers.
Yep.
You know, they got to carry that big old
That's
thing of
heavy.
water and then try to fly straight and then try to launch
Drop it on
and
the
drop it. And
on
then
the
for
target.
the firefighters, they're going in terrain that they've never been in.
Yep.
They have to make sure that they're not falling in holes. If they chop something down, they might chop a whole bed of bats or, you know, they got to look for wildlife, mountain bears
Yep.
and mountain lions and everything. And they're carrying like between 35 and 100 pounds of equipment on their backs and stuff. So
Going up them hills.
it's very dangerous. Sometimes they have to helicopter in. Sometimes they have to hike up a rope up to the fire. Sometimes they have to take a rope down into the valley of a fire. So yeah, it was just unfortunate that because of the winds, and we're not used to getting Santa Ana winds right now. We probably get them like end of February, March, but we've never had winds this terrible for this long.
And not at this time of the year.
And not that's what
Definitely-
I'm saying.
definitely
everything
not.
was a unique situation.
Right.
Yeah.
The perfect situation for
The
a fire.
perfect storm.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep, because that's what I was explaining too. I'm just like, because people was like, it's fire season, you're supposed to know, and I was like, no, it's not fire season. It's not. And they're like, it is. I said, no, it's not. Fire season happens midsummer.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's fire season.
Yes, dry.
We're in the winter. We weren't expecting this type of weather to happen. One and this fire, it wasn't. I said, and then two, usually our fires happen near the forest. Near the mountains, near the drier areas of our town. This happened in a big old city. Like it wasn't expected at all. So I'm like, okay. Yeah.
Edison or arson?
I think both.
Yeah.
I
know.
think arson played a part. I think because
how did it get all the way to Alta Dena?
oh, well, the wind. Now that well,
But
no.
Yeah, that's like
I'm sorry. I think the Palisades one was
I know.
arson.
That was my feeling too.
I think
that was my feeling
I think
too.
somewhere down there we might be able to prove it down there one day.
It's gonna come up.
But I definitely
sure.
think some arson was involved. I think a lot of those other fires, arson was involved. Yeah, I definitely think so.
Big shout out to our incarcerated. They was out there putting in work.
Yeah.
And I know they don't get paid very much, but everybody, all those first responders, including them, we really need to take our hats off to them because they did a wonderful job as best as they could in the circumstances.
Well, they're still doing the job.
And they're still working.
Kim Kardashian did bring up a good point that they should be paid more.
I agree.
Because they do exactly what the firefighters do.
Yeah.
Exactly what they do. Yeah. And when they have rest breaks, the firefighters get to go to a hotel and a nice room and a nice
they
bed,
don't.
and they have to pull out a sleeping bag and
Or
sleep
tent.
in the forest, you know.
Yeah.
And there were women firefighters out there as well, and they might be on their menstruals at the time, and they just out there. If it decides to rain or whatever, you know, they're out there laying on the ground. So yes, they should be paid much more. I say that. We know that firefighters in California, they make about $28 an hour. The highest position in fire camp is what they would call a swamper. That's the person that rides in the front seat with the captain. They only make $1 an hour. So sometimes they're out there on fires and people forget they're there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you've been out there 30 hours and you only make $30, you know. And you think that I signed up to come to jail. I didn't sign up to go to fire camp, but however they classify you and you go through that physical and you can make it, you're going to be in fire camp. The best thing for them is that when they're on the outside, they do get to eat good, you know, because if they come and throw up and they throw up water, they're going to shoot. and they're going to like maximum security.
Mm.
If they have to helicopter in because somebody is injured, that's $6,000. They're going back to maximum security. So,
my goodness.
yeah, they're being brave because this is not their day to day, and they're in the dorm, and I might be giving this your perm, and that bill goes off.
They gotta go, huh?
And you got 5 minutes to get to the bus, and you're like, oh shit, right? Then we head in the toilet, then we head in the toilet.
They gotta go.
Yeah, so if a fire, should take over, they only have like this little thing that's aluminum, looks like aluminum foil, and they try to get in there and cover up. So hopefully they, stay alive. So yeah, they should get paid more. It's about time for them to get paid more. They have army rations that they eat, on the fire, and little canteens of water. So absolutely, they should be paid more money. People are falling off cliffs. They're getting hit by trees. You're walking in the forest. A tree might fall on you. So yeah, give them some money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about the insurance companies?
No, that's a good one. So imagine not having insurance, or imagine them saying that they're not going to renew your insurance.
Yes.
And I just read that State Farm Insurance was going to have an ad for the Super Bowl. So they're not going to have an ad.
Smart
for the Super
decision.
Bowl.
Yes.
And they're going to help people. They said they paid out like $50 million so far, and they're going to use the money to continue to help people because they stopped offering insurance. I think they said in May of 2023.
Yeah.
So that's where all the conspiracies are kind of coming from. They stopped. Some people stopped offering insurance for fires back till 22.
Yeah.
And then they're talking about this smart city that's supposed to come in 28 for the Olympics, and that Malibu Palisades off the water area would be beautiful to have a Olympics at. And yeah, that's even more devastating to think that you paid insurance. However, even if you did pay insurance, you don't know everything that you have in your house and the price of everything. Did you make a list of everything,
You have to just in your mind, room for room, kind of figure out what that was in there. And you're going to probably miss a whole lot of stuff.
Right.
And they saying so many people were under covered. They weren't, it's not going to cover everything. And then FEMA will only pick up a certain amount.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, Biden gave him $700, so.
Girl. Okay, I heard that. I'm like, dang, we got more stimmy than that.
That's FEMA. That's not Biden. And that's just to start. That's just to cover them for
just
like
a little
that night.
for a couple days.
For that, to cover. But they still have other stuff that they can apply for through FEMA. That's supposed to help them out. But that's just that's just to start. But I think the insurance thing I think it was wrong.
Absolutely.
I think that the fact that people were getting cut off as late as December of last year and given time, because they're supposed to give you 60 to 90 days to find, a different insurance or whatnot that covers fire. But it wasn't just State Farm. A lot of the other insurance carriers was pulling back in those areas. They was pulling back saying they did not want to cover fire insurance because they perceived those areas to be threats, to be fire.
High risk, yeah.
High risk. And so I think it sucks for the people that live there because if you give me 60 days or 90 days to find insurance and I can't find it, what am I supposed to do? And then, I just, like I told Mona when we talked about it before, I said, I just can't imagine that we leave December 2024, we enter the new year of January 2025, and a week later, my house is gone. My spouse is gone because some people lost their spouse. My kids are gone because some people lost their children. Like my car is gone. Like everything is just wiped out within a day. Like I can't imagine. And on top of that, you have Scandalous has people calling these people during a fire, because we still have it, saying, would you like to sell your house? I'll buy your house for cheap. It's not worth much because it burnt to the ground. I'll buy it for cheap. And so much so that the governor had to literally put out a memorandum saying, no, if you're not going to pay them what their house was worth before the fire, they can't sell it. They can't sell it. Now what? Because they was trying to get them for their houses. So
Right.
yeah, it's messed up.
Yeah.
And the propaganda machine was working when they showed that young man on TV, and they said he was looting when he was actually helping people
Taking
Get
his stuff
out the
house.
house.
That
Oh my
was so
gosh.
crazy. And the price gouging.
Yeah,
They're
to rent.
yes.
Yes.
And I'm glad that Gavin Newsom did say that if you are a renter and you are allowing people into your house, they cannot evict you because you're subleasing to let those people help those people have somewhere to stay.
Exactly.
So that was a good thing as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
It's just so much going
It
on, and
is.
it's so devastated, and my heart just like dropped. And it wasn't even my stuff, but just imagine that you're not going through it and how bad you felt.
Yeah.
I know.
Magnify
right.
that by 100,000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people were just looking like they didn't
lost like a little deer in the
this is a
headlights.
bad
Like,
movie.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Is this real? And it just looked like a war zone, and they were showing how some of those areas looked before the fire and they had this one couple that just had bought their house and they were taking a picture all in front of their little house. And then today it's burnt down to the ground.
Or people that just paid off their house.
There was a
that
lady
just
on there.
trying to create generational wealth.
Yep.
And they lived in those houses 40 and 50 years. And, I'm an hour and a half away from where we are right now. And the air quality, it was so...
Yes.
I when I left my house, I had on sunglasses, but then I couldn't see. And when I took my glasses, it was this gray sky.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to come down here. And it was terrible.
Yeah.
And then my GPS stopped working. So had I, by the time I got to Inglewood, my GPS had stopped working. Had I not known how to get here, I would have been stuck.
Yeah.
I had to actually restart my phone and then it reconnected. So I can imagine.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't imagine. I can't.
And this is just the beginning. They got years to recover. It's going to be a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I listened to a man give an interview who he deals with, the buildings of their homes and whatnot. And he was already saying that he said, we can have houses built in like 2 to 3 years. He said, but our issue is when it comes to LA and the zonings and everything. He said there's different departments that deal with different things in them areas. So you got to get approval from different departments.
Yes.
And some of those can take years to get approval.
Yes.
And some of those you can have done in 30 days. He's like, so if everybody could be on one accord, in this moment, he said we can at least get get started with trying to rebuild. But he said, if not, it can take anywhere from 2 to 4 years to build them homes back. And I'm like, that's horrible. Because you still got, again, like we said earlier, you still got to pay the mortgage. You still going to have to pay somewhere else wherever you're staying while they rebuild your place if you can. You still going to have to, and that's only if the insurance pays much of, for the house being destroyed or whatnot. So you up against a lot. I wouldn't wish that on anybody,
I think it was Alta Dena or Pasadena, you can correct me if you want to. They lost the whole post office.
Yeah, Alta Dena.
And then there's what's your policy number? It burnt up.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
And Bank of America burnt up. Well, it was a bank. Yeah. So I was like, where's the vault? You would think that would be, I'm sure it saved something.
Oh, I'm sure the vault's okay.
Yeah.
But see, just like old people that, they've had their policies for years, they don't remember their name. But here's the thing. They can find you to tell you that you are past due on your bill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's on my thoughts that who in California has a policy with you. You should be on one of these radio channels or some kind of TV programming and shouting out like Top Dog Law. You have a policy. Call us. We'll be over here.
Yeah.
Call us. It should be something on the television or the radio where people can get in contact, just like they're trying to help them with the FEMA and all the paperwork and stuff that they got a policy.
Yeah.
Help them people out.
Yeah.
It's very devastating. It's,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so final thoughts.
So sad. I think more than anything right now, first thing comes to my mind is check your policies, your insurance policies. Always have some important papers somewhere where you know you can get to them right away. It's just so many things that go through my head. I really, really feel bad for all these people that have lost everything. And my prayers are with them, my thoughts are with them, but they've got a long road ahead of them. So those of you celebrities with big money, make them big donations, because we got people over here that need it, that really, really need it. That's it.
Yeah. Mona?
7 days in, and 7 days in after the new year, and this happened in California. You said, have your paperwork somewhere, but who thinks like that?
Yeah, exactly.
It just makes you think that you got to stay with one eye open. You never know.
Never know
what could happen. In a split second. My hugs go out. Nobody want to hear about no goddamn prayers. I'm sorry, Adrian, I'm not talking about you. But, I'm just being chucky. Yeah. Nobody wants to hear about a goddamn prayer, because where was God when my house burned down? But, know that people are out here. They're very empathetic. There's a lot of people that are, getting together their jobs. And I think my company, they went and got some care packages and took down to some people. I want to shout out the South, too, because we over here on fire and they're over there in cold weather, what they say, minus 50 degrees, So shout out to those people. If we can help, we can, help somebody. And we just got to love on each other. And I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. And I really don't have too much to say about, what can words do. They have people out there giving out teddy bears and stuff, and my crazy ass like, fuck them teddy bears. But I understand. Let me shut up. My final thoughts is I'm out.
Oh my God. My final thoughts is take this, for those that wasn't affected, take this as a wake-up call. And this goes for people even in apartments too. If you don't have insurance on your apartment, get some insurance on your apartment, because you should. For those that are homeowners, always, even if you do it once or twice a year, go through your policies, like review your policies to make sure you are aware of what it covers. For those that lost their homes, do not, please, 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 do not sell your house. Do not fall victim to the scammers out there that's trying to buy it up off of you. Hold on to it as much as you can. Don't fall victim to those that's cranking up their prices for rent too, because I see that's going on as well. Where 1 week it was like $3,000 or $5,000 to rent. Now it's $29,000 to $30,000 to rent in some areas nearby. That don't fall victim to that. My thoughts are with you, and I'm sincerely sorry that you had to go through that loss. And that's it. Please like, share, subscribe.
No, before you end, let me say one more thing. Every company has an audit every year, or they're supposed to have audits to make sure that their operations, their businesses are in order. I think when I was listening to Nisha, there is another wake-up call from state to state, city to city, county to county. We should be having some, how they have the emergency exit situations on your job. If there's a earthquake, what do? There should be DWP should have an audit every year to check those hydrants that were off. There should be fireman responses. They have something that they have to go through. Police have training that they have to go through every year. There should be a emergency response training put into place that is done every year or every 6 months, so we can be better prepared for things like this. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Okay. Please like, share, subscribe to our channel. If you feel like you have any questions, or you feel like we didn't cover something that you would like us to discuss, put it in the comment section, and we'll shout you out, and we'll create a topic based on your suggestion. That is it. BGP. We're out. Bye.